Hello, everybody. Hello. So, today I wanted to talk about something that I think is a really important topic of conversation. There's a lot of people who play Dungeons and Dragons and are very passionate about it, love it, and then when you introduce it to your friends, they can be skeptical, to say the least. I have a few suggestions that might be able to help with transitioning your friends into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So, people who are playing games might have a reaction much like Troy from Community.
Alrighty?
Shouldn't there be a board or some pieces or something to Jenga?
No, this is a role-playing game. It takes place entirely in our collective imagination.
Ooh, Neil.
Or they might have a reaction that is very aversive towards what you are wanting to portray. The things that I know now as a dungeon master that I wish that I had known in the beginning when I was trying to introduce the game to a few people a long time ago is that the game is about the players. And once I realized that I need to make the game about the players, that is when my entire strategy of being a dungeon master completely changed. As a player, you want to go in with an open mind. You want to find a game that is going to be fun, is going to be comfortable, and it's going to be something that you feel like you aren't having to memorize a ton of rules or to change an entire way of being able to play games. Knowing that, as a dungeon master, you want to make sure that people are going to be as comfortable as they can be. I have seen a couple of posts online where they're asking, hey, I have friends and they're all new to the game. I want to see if I can be a dungeon master for them. How do I do it? This is what I would recommend. For people who are just starting Dungeons & Dragons, you as the experienced player, or inexperienced, either way, bringing that game to life for them does not always have to jump people immediately into some Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones mix where they are in this completely unfamiliar world and unfamiliar environment. It is my suggestion and recommendation that if you are going to run a game just to try and interest people in Dungeons & Dragons and maybe start a campaign that way, would be to take the players and have them play themselves as a character in a modern setting. Use familiar tropes that people are used to and that they're familiar with. People have seen zombie apocalypse movies. People have seen disaster movies. People have seen army movies or military movies. And you can tailor somebody's personal knowledge of that to their game. The people who you're going to be playing with, they want to be comfortable, and you as a dungeon master are going to want them to be comfortable as well. If you take them and say, hey, we're going to play a game at my house, it's a role-playing game, and you don't need to bring anything, just bring yourself, I'll have everything taken care of, we're just going to have a good time, maybe bring some snacks. And that is a good way to introduce people. The moment people arrive and they all show up, you don't want to drop a million books on them and say, here's all the rules, we're going to create your character. You need to know what the difference between a drow and a tiefling and a dragonborn and an Aasimar, and you don't need to know all of the differences between that to play Dungeons & Dragons. If someone shows up and they feel that you are overwhelming them, that's going to be a negative experience to start off with. And it might turn into a positive experience, but it's going to be very confusing in the beginning. So what I recommend, having them sit down, give them a character sheet that you have created based on what you think their stats are in real life. Just say, all right, everybody, I need you at this time to write down your inventory. Write down everything that is in your pockets that you brought with you to this game. When I have run games like this, it has gone fantastically. It's been hilarious, and it has made for really interesting things to happen because of what people actually brought with them and had in their pockets. It made all of us at certain points of the game, you have that on you right now? Yes, I do. Oh, well, all right. The one that I've loved running is a zombie apocalypse. And what I do, I have their character sheet. Here's your stats, this is who you are, and then I present the story. We're all out of town, we're visiting Las Vegas, and in Vegas we were going to go see a show. The show was rained out, so we had to go back to the hotel room. While we're up in the hotel room at the Venetian, there's a lot of noises out in the streets, and it's the hustle and bustle of Vegas. You all get up to the hotel room, and my character is always the person who dies first in everything. So in order for them to understand, oh, this is a zombie apocalypse that we're playing right now. I unfortunately bite the bullet and am bitten first. I will be walking down the hall or something, and someone will start, they'll look like they're sick, and I'll describe them that way. I won't say, oh, it's a zombie and he bites me. I'll just say, I'm walking down the hall and there's a woman who looks like she's ill at the end of the hall, and I think that she's drunk, so I go over and attempt to try and see if she's okay. And at that time, she lunges at me and tackles me to the ground, biting me on the arm. Then everybody is like, what is going on? And then they get into character and they immediately jump into action. Oh, well, like what would I do in this situation? It's kind of funny to see how people react. Having that familiar trope, it was easy for everybody who's new players at that time to get into character and then to learn the system. Obviously, we started off with an encounter, an attack that was going on. So I have them now, they have their dice in front of them. They haven't known what they're for this entire time, and I just tell them, all right, roll the 20-sided die and then add this, which is on your character sheet, and I just show them. So they're getting the process of how to play the game in a familiar setting. It doesn't need to be a zombie apocalypse. That's something that I love to do because it's something I'm passionate about and something that the people who I play with are familiar with. So it doesn't need to be that. That's just an example. If you are getting them to play, obviously the most important thing is that everyone feels comfortable with what is happening, and that you as a dungeon master make the experience memorable, fun, and quick. It doesn't need to be a 7-hour gaming session. It could be a 2-hour session where you leave off on a cliffhanger, where you haven't progressed where you wanted to in your one-shot zombie apocalypse modern day campaign, but that's okay because they'll be talking about that adventure and you'll have inside jokes, you'll have so many things that have happened in that 2-hour period where the next week they'll be wondering, are we going to continue where this left off? And you'll be leaving them wanting for more. So if I can sum up, I would say the 3 things that you want to do is pick a setting that your friends are going to be familiar with and comfortable with. Make the scenario something that is memorable, fun, and quick so they don't get overwhelmed. Don't rules lawyer everything. And the third thing is leave them on a cliffhanger. Leave them on something that is making them want more, something that's making them want to come back to the table. Those are the things that I have done and have increased my circle of Dungeons & Dragons players to a point where I can't sustain it anymore. I need more Dungeon Masters. I guess this video is geared maybe more toward Dungeon Masters, but towards players, I would say if you keep an open mind on inviting friends over, you can make suggestions to your Dungeon Master. Hey, if I have a friend come, he's never played before, could we maybe run like something to make him more comfortable with it? If you have a spouse that has never played before, maybe you or a significant other, then maybe you can bring them to the table and just have them play themselves. It's going to be something that's memorable, something that's fun, something that's easy for them to pick up. So that is my suggestion for this week. I hope that was helpful. If you like the video, please subscribe, and if you want to see anything in the future, something that for me to talk about or to address, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. I'm grateful for everybody so far who has given me such great feedback, things that I can do to improve, and I want to keep bringing these out, so I'm going to continue to record these for you guys. Thank you again for watching, and have a great Dungeons & Dragons day.